Welcome to the first session of this afternoon period of time. I hope that there will be more participants coming to this room later on. Yes. I also hope that you enjoy your lunch as well. Hope that your lunch didn't make you feel sleepy or anything like that. Yes, for the second session of today, or the first session of this afternoon, is about the storytelling, the journey of hospital accreditation in Thailand. Before becoming the current Healthcare Accreditation Institute Public Organization Thailand, with important principles of being an independent organization with reliability and agility, having evidence-based operation which are sensitive to national health context and culture. There are several lessons learned from long experience of its development. In addition to the history of hospital accreditation in Thailand, present and future challenges as well as strategic direction of the organization will also be discussed in this session. Please welcome Mr. Anthony Westmakers, an expert in healthcare management and accreditation, who is a co-founder of HAI, and the present Chief Executive Officer of HAI, Dr. Anuwat Supachutikun. Please welcome the speaker.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is really honor of us to be here, and we will bring you back to the history because Tony is a people in the history for 20 years ago that he came to Thailand, and we start from nothing, and we learn a lot. And I hope that this session will bring us to recall of our principle that we used in those days and we still use during the present time. I would like to start with asking someone in this room who would like to ask some question to Tony as a starting. If anyone that know Tony at that time, I would like to ask something. มีไหมครับมีใครอยากจะเริ่มด้วยคำถามอะไรไหมครับ
If you don't ask me any questions, I will then start asking you questions.
อาจารย์ชุมศักดิ์นะครับอาจารย์ชุมศักดิ์อยู่ในตรงนี้ก็ได้ครับอาจารย์ชุมศักดิ์อยู่ในทีมที่ทำตอนนั้นอาจารย์เป็นเลขาธิการราชวิทยาลัยศัลยแพทย์แห่งประเทศไทยนะครับตอนที่เราเริ่มต้นทำเอเชีย
In 1970, I start my surgical training in Baltimore, USA, and at that, just about that time, the situation of the malpractice is coming very serious. The physician will sue so often. And it so happened that there is a joint commission on hospital accreditation that I don't know much about it, but I know that the direction of the hospital is that you have to provide safety. Safety is the main issue of the hospital accreditation back then. And I believe so that it's still very relevant today. And back 20 years ago when I came back here, Dr. Anuwat was starting the hospital accreditation in Thailand. And the Ministry of Health was thinking about putting like a star on the hospital, like a Michelin type of tasting the restaurant. You know, you go to a restaurant and then it tastes good, then you put a star on it, 2 star, 4, 3 star, 4 star. They were thinking about putting the star to the hospital. And someone said, you probably it's not a good idea to put a star on the hospital. What do you think about that? Why not? The hotel, you put star on it, 5-star, 4-star, 6-star, why not hospital?
Okay, Tony.
If you want to put stars on a hospital, then every hospital must have at least 10 stars. Not 9, not 8, not 7, but 10. And accreditation is a process, a system that will encourage us to do the right thing. And one of the most important part, and you mentioned it, is the safety of patients. When an individual walks into a hospital, is it a safe place for them to be? And you mentioned about the doctors being sued. I must confess that when I came to Thailand, I thought that the physicians were very fortunate in not being sued, because the patients often had every right. And the biggest problem in Thailand was the communication between the physician and the doctor. It was a real problem. So when the accreditation program started, I was very adamant that the hospital must have a medical staff organization, a system where they can teach one another. Like accreditation is an educational process. But being a physician, you don't stop learning when you finish university. It is an ongoing process of education. And that includes the safety of the patient. We have to communicate with the patient. Because in the United States, now that you mention it, 90% of the lawsuits could have been prevented if there was proper communication between the physician and the patient. And here in Thailand, 20 years ago, that was lacking. I would like to kind of go around and see what the situation is today. Have the physician learned how to communicate with the patients?
You'll have opportunity to visit some hospital next week and see how the physician communicate with each other and with the patient and also with other professionals. And what do you, how do you deal with the situation? Because you are the hospital administrator, how do you build the environment that the physician will come together and work as a team within the medical staff organization or with other professionals?
We have to consider that we in the hospital is a body of people together. When you look at your own self, at your own body, you have many members. But each member is dependent on the other members. Your head cannot do something that might be has an adverse affection of your feet. Your feet and your mind have to work together. Your stomach and your balls have to work together to make it go. And in the hospital, we have to learn to work together, to respect one another's professional knowledge, and use it so that together we can make it safe for the patient. That answer?
Okay, we'll come back to this in detail later. And is there any question? อาจารย์จิตเชิญครับ
You know, there are two accreditation systems in Thailand, one for the hospital, one for education.
อาจารย์จิตเชิญข้างหน้านะครับฮะกล้องจะได้เห็นด้วยครับ
All right, I'm recalling before I was a director of a hospital. Now I work as president of the university, and we also encounter two systems, one for hospital accreditation and the other one for accreditation system for the university education system. Now, I see a lot of contrast between the two. I'm wondering, in your opinion, what make a good accreditation system? What elements do you need to have in the accreditation so that people would participate and you can further the accreditation system forward?
There are three elements. The first is an interdisciplinary approach. We have to learn not to look at ourselves, but look at the interest of other people. We must learn to work together as a team in order to meet the common goal, whether it is education or whether it is medical care or the accreditation system.
What do you mean, we? We is the organization or
No,
the hospital or what? What do you mean by we?
we,
To work together, what is we?
we are the individuals, not the hospital, not the accreditation system. Those are just names that we use. But we as individuals have to work together. We as individuals have to teach, educate. We as individuals provide the quality of care. It is not the system that provides quality. It is the individuals that provide quality and provide the care. เข้าใจ? No?
But accreditation part and the provision of care part, you know, there are two. One look after the other, right? So what makes the accreditation part a good part? That's what I'm trying to say. Someone that would further accreditation process and further quality. You see what I mean?
Yes,
Individuals
yes.
cannot work that way.
Okay.
But the accreditation system, the institute, must have some quality, desirable quality that would encourage hospital to try to work towards a good quality and safe care.
The most important concept of the accreditation process is that it is an ongoing educational process. The university have an educational process whereby people learn. The accreditation is also a learning process. It is not something that you dictate. This is the way you provide quality. It is we learn how to provide quality. What do you have on there?
So you can, this is your word at that time, and is the foundation of the accreditation system. That HA is an educational process, not an inspection. And for the educational process, it's started with self-assessment and self-improvement. And the external evaluation is just some of the external peer that visit the hospital from time to time, and the real quality is something that created by the hospital staff themselves. And because of this concept, I can start from this one. Is the question for you that why do you say this statement to us 20 years ago when we started the program? Why do you emphasize this? Is this from the Canadian system, or you see something from the problem at the time and you try to prevent something? Is it the same or different from Canada system when you talk about the accreditation is an educational process?
Yes, there is a definite difference from the United States or from Europe and from around the country. You will find that the healthcare system is based on a system of doing things. And in Thailand, we were successful in making the accreditation program to focus on the individuals that we serve. In other words, whatever we do, we want to do it to the benefit of the other person, whether it is for the benefit of our colleagues or for the benefit of the patient. We as healthcare providers don't do things because it is good for us. We do things because it benefits another person, it benefits the patient. That's why we're there. It is, we are patient-focused. And if you're not patient-focused, then re-examine yourself, because you're missing the point. You're missing the whole purpose of the accreditation program. The accreditation program is a learning process to do what is best for the other person, not what is to benefit of yourself. You're learning, and that perhaps is a benefit, but you do it for the patient. You're focused on being or giving a service to the other people and to the patients.
And what do you mean when you say that accreditation is an educational process? What do you think of that the process of education? How is it we educate by ourselves, or it's an interaction between the surveyors and the hospital staff?
Very much. When we are in the learning process, we do not learn by ourselves. We learn from the other people. We teach one another on a constant basis. It is an ongoing process where we constantly learn. We learn from our own mistakes. That's true. But you also learn from the mistakes the other person made. So you look at it and you work together. You learn together.
It means that the accreditation process have to encourage the environment of learning between the hospital staff. And this means that we have to to change the mindset of the people to be an open mindset, that we can accept that we use the adverse events or our mistake for learning. And it's not easy for the hospital staff to accept that there was some mistake in the hospital. Even though we try to say that we try to not to use the blame culture, but to look at the system. But anyway, we still find it difficult to make the people come together and with open mind to discuss on the process of what happened. What is your experience when you manage the hospital? When you find something, some mistake?
See, it is a learning process, but it is also a teaching process. we constantly teach one another as we learn from one another. Does that
Okay.
come again?
Okay. I'll move on to some of your point that when we draft the first standard in 1996, and we launched the HA program in 1997, and we have 35 hospitals as a pilot hospital. At the time, you said that even if the hospital implement all the standards, there will not be quality hospital if there is no. The first one is individual commitment, and the second one is teamwork, and the third one is patient focus. Can you remember that statement?
When I go back to that time, I remember that we had many options as at developing the standards. And one of my insistence was that Thailand must develop their own standards. And I remember when the first set of standards came out, we had them all on one page, I think, maybe 2 pages. There were there were 9 different standards related to management, to administration, to patient care, and a few other things. It was very simple. And then the hospitals developed the standards we have today. It was a learning process between the hospitals and accreditation. Accreditation, the standards were developed by Thai hospitals, by the management of the Thai hospitals. They decided what standards were reasonable to accept and what standards didn't apply to the various situations. So standards don't mean anything unless you have the personal commitment of people who want to, who have a desire and who want to make things better. Standards don't improve things. Those are just guidelines that we use, but it is